Welcome to Daily Dose of Knowledge. Today we're diving into something that lives inside every human mind. Something you've done, and something that's been done to you. Have you ever done something and thought, I had my reasons? Others just don't understand. That feeling. That's what we're exploring today. Every person walking this earth believes their actions make sense. Not some people, every single one. The criminal, the cheater, the person who hurt you. They all had a reason that felt real to them. This isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about understanding how the human mind works from the inside. When you do something, you have access to your full story. Your pain, your history, your intentions, but the person watching you. They only see what you did, nothing else. This gap between intention and perception is where almost every human conflict is born. Psychologists call this the actor-observer bias. You are the actor. Everyone else is the observer. As the actor, you always have context. As the observer, you only have the behavior in front of you. That's why you think you had reasons. And why others think you just made a choice. Here's where it gets deeper. Most of the time, your justification comes after the action, not before. Your brain makes a decision. Then it builds a story around that decision to make it feel logical. This is called rationalization. And your brain does it automatically, without asking your permission. You didn't choose to lie. You protected someone's feelings. See the difference? Same action. Different story. The story changes everything. The action stays exactly the same, but the meaning your brain assigns to it shifts completely. This is why two people can do the identical thing and one feels guilty while the other feels proud. Their actions were the same. Their internal narratives were completely different. Psychologists call the discomfort of holding conflicting beliefs cognitive dissonance. It feels like mental pressure building inside. Your brain cannot comfortably hold two contradicting ideas at once, so it resolves the tension. Always in your favor. When your actions don't match your self-image, your brain goes to work. It rewrites the story until they match. You see yourself as a good person. So whatever you did must have had a good reason. The brain fills in the gaps. This is not a conscious process. You don't sit down and decide to deceive yourself. It just happens. And because it happens automatically, you never even notice it occurred. You just feel like you're thinking clearly. That is what makes it so powerful. And so dangerous. This is why people who do terrible things rarely see themselves as terrible. Their mind has already handled that. The abuser who says the victim provoked them. The thief who says the system left them no choice. The friend who betrayed you who says they were just being honest. Every single one of them believes their version. Not because they're lying to you. Because they've already lied to themselves first. And they don't even know it. Every person is the hero of their own story. Even the ones who hurt you didn't see themselves as the villain. Think about the last real argument you had. Walk yourself through it honestly. You felt completely justified. The other person felt completely justified. Both of you walked away thinking the other was being unreasonable. Both people were running the exact same mental process. My reasons are valid. Your reasons are just excuses. This is the real reason so many conflicts never resolve. Not because someone is evil. Because both sides feel completely justified. And when both sides feel justified, neither side feels the need to change. Why would you? You're the sane one. There's a term in psychology, the fundamental attribution error. It says we explain others by their character, ourselves by our circumstances. He's late because he's irresponsible. I'm late because traffic was terrible and my morning fell apart. Same behavior. Completely different explanation. One gets judged. One gets a pass. You give yourself the benefit of context automatically, but you don't extend that same benefit to others. Watch how quickly you form an opinion about a stranger's behavior. You know nothing about their morning, their history, their pain. But you see what they did. And your brain instantly assigns a character judgment to them. Meanwhile, if you did the same thing, you'd have 10 reasons ready before the thought even finished forming. This creates an invisible wall in every relationship. You never fully understand the other person. They never fully understand you. And both of you feel misunderstood. Because you are. That's the painful truth of it. The wall isn't built from hatred. It's built from two people each having access only to their own interior. You can't feel what they felt when they made that choice. And they can't feel what you felt either. So you judge from the outside, and they judge from the outside. And both judgments feel completely accurate. Now here's the part most people don't talk about. This system isn't a flaw, it was built for survival. A mind that constantly second-guessed every action would collapse under the weight of its own doubt. Justification keeps you moving forward. It protects your sense of self. It keeps you functional under pressure. But what kept you surviving in the wild now keeps you blind in relationships, at work, and in conflict. The same mechanism that protected you is the one that prevents you from growing past your own patterns. Because as long as you always have a reason, you never have to examine the action itself. You stop asking, was what I did actually right? And you start asking, how do I defend what I did? That shift is subtle. But it changes everything. One question leads to growth. The other leads to stagnation dressed up as logic. This is how ordinary people do extraordinary damage while sleeping perfectly at night, not because they're monsters. Because their mind already built a story where they aren't. And the story is airtight. Because they wrote it. And they only included the parts that made sense from their side. Here's something that should make you stop. History's worst figures all believed in their cause. They had reasons. Elaborate, detailed, passionate reasons. Reasons that made complete sense inside their own heads. That is not a coincidence. That is the mechanism operating at full scale. When an entire group rationalizes together, it becomes ideology. When one person does it alone, we call it delusion. But the mental process underneath is identical. My reasons justify my actions, and my actions are therefore justified. Now here's the hardest pill. You are doing this too, right now. In some area of your life, there is something you've justified that, without your context, looks completely different to everyone watching. Not because you're a bad person, but because you're a human person. And this is what human minds do. The question isn't whether you rationalize. You do. Everyone does. The question is whether you know when it's happening. Because there's a difference between having reasons and using reasons as a shield against honest self-reflection. One is healthy. The other is a trap that keeps you repeating the same patterns and calling it fate. The people who break this pattern share one trait. They've learned to get uncomfortable with their own justifications. When they feel the urge to explain themselves, they pause. They ask, am I explaining or am I deflecting? That requires something genuinely rare. The ability to hold your own actions up to the same standard you hold others. Not asking, what were my reasons? But asking, regardless of my reasons, what did I actually do? And more importantly, what did it feel like for the person on the receiving end of what I did? Most people never make that shift. It's deeply uncomfortable. It threatens the story. It challenges the identity. But the ones who do become harder to manipulate, harder to corrupt, clearer in who they actually are. Because they've developed what psychologists call self-awareness under pressure. The ability to see yourself from the outside without flinching. It doesn't mean you stop having reasons. It means you stop letting your reasons become your blindfold. You start to catch it happening in real time. You notice, I'm building a case for myself again. Let me slow down. You start asking, if someone I didn't like did exactly what I just did, how would I describe them? That question is a mirror. And most people avoid mirrors when they're doing something they know isn't right. The gap between who you think you are and who you actually are in your worst moments, that gap is where the work is. Not the version of you that shows up when life is easy. The version that shows up under pressure, under threat, under pain. That version also has reasons. Always. The question is whether those reasons are honest or just comfortable. Because comfort and honesty are not the same thing. And the mind will always reach for comfort first. So next time you feel completely justified, pause. Ask yourself who is watching and what they see. Ask yourself if you'd accept the same justification from someone you were angry at. If not, examine why. Because the most dangerous person in any room is the one who is absolutely certain they are the sane one. And the wisest person in any room is the one who knows. That certainty is exactly where the blindness begins. Self-awareness isn't about guilt. it's about clarity. It's about finally seeing yourself with the same sharp eyes you use on everyone else. That's not weakness. That's one of the hardest and rarest things a human being can develop. If this video made you stop and think about yourself honestly, that discomfort is a good sign. It means something landed. Subscribe to Daily Dose of Knowledge. Every day we go deeper into the forces that shape how humans think, behave, and live. Drop a comment below. Have you ever caught yourself rationalizing something after the fact? Tell me what you noticed. And watch the next video. Because what's coming will challenge the way you see yourself and the world around you.